Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your friend Jared, back here with the Space Explored podcast for this week. And on this week's news, ULA's Vulcan completes its first test firing. The Crew 6 astronauts provide some much-needed upgrades to the ISS during a 6-hour-long spacewalk. And Boeing seems to be in trouble again. All that and more coming up on episode 63.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Jared, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going? A little bit different environment today. In Studio B, we'll call it.
Studio B. I'm in studio. No A, no B. I'm in studio.
Just in the studio.
You're like full
Nice.
Space Explored right now. Full purple.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. We'll see. See if this helps the views.
Yeah, sure. We need more purple. That's what we need. Oh, I don't
Cool,
have...
man.
That's my fault. I'm sorry for the Slack notification, but we're going to keep moving on. I'm going to find Do Not Disturb. But welcome everyone back to another week of the Space Explored podcast. I'm Seth Kurkowski as always, and with me is Jared Sanders.
Hello,
Jared. How's it going? So we're going to get right into our top stories this week. First one comes actually from ULA. We actually have some Vulcan news. There's actually some Vulcan news that broke like just today, but I don't have this. We'll talk about that next week. But Vulcan flight readiness firing. So last Thursday, ULA fueled up its Vulcan booster with liquid methane and oxygen and conducted several test countdowns. The test concluded with a 6-second static firing of the two Blue Origin BE-4 engines attached to the bottom. This was the final test before ULA begins preparations for the first launch of Vulcan. The flight will have several payloads: Astrobotics Peregrine lander, Amazon Kuiper satellites, the first couple of the Kuiper satellites, and a memorial mission from Celestis, I think is how you pronounce it. So this is a pretty big moment for ULA. We've been kind of like waiting for this to happen. They were supposed to roll it out. I think they were supposed to do it like a month ago. Then they had like an anomaly with the second stage, and they found some issues with something on the rocket when they rolled it out the first time through some tests, and then they rolled it back and fixed those, and they rolled it out again. So as big congratulations to ULA for completing this test. I was I didn't really look too much into this. I just knew they were going to do it. I didn't really look into like the details of it, so I didn't know it was only going to be 6 seconds. So I'm just like, there's no way they're going to do a full duration. Like, that's not ULA.
They did it for social media, dude. 6 seconds. It's the perfect social media, shorts.
It's true. It is true. So like, yeah, I just fired and then it shut down. I'm like, oh, cool, awesome. The Rofi's all in there, and it's super awesome to see those BE-4s come alive. I mean, not for the first time. We've seen test firings videos from Blue Origin, but at least first time on the Vulcan booster, which is super cool.
Can I say that? I'm going to cut in and say that the Vulcan name is probably one of the best names that we've had for a rocket. By far.
It's my favorite named rocket for sure.
Yeah.
It beats anything else. I mean, I did like it when it was BFR instead of Starship, just because it was funny. Because everyone would be like, what does BFR mean? And they'll say their version of BFR. And I'm like, no, it's actually a big Falcon rocket.
Yeah.
And then they'll feel dumb. But no, Vulcan is definitely one, especially Star Trek. It's all Star Trek-y, and like it's also I know it's not named after Star Trek. It's named after some mythological, whatever the Vulcans were mythologically wise. I don't know. I just know from Star Trek. So the paint scheme's super awesome. So I think the paint scheme is going to be on the first 2 missions at least.
Yep. It's got the orange. It's orange.
Yeah, and I was it's kind of like flames, not flames. It's like the red V that's like on the side of the booster.
Oh,
and I'm like, I have to go see this thing launch. I have to see the first mission because I have to get a photo. It's the only time I'm ever going to get a photo of this rocket with that paint scheme. Because after that, they're just going to go to their base paint scheme.
Yep.
Until I watched the the flight readiness firing video, and I'm like, oh wait, it's going to be covered in ice. We're not going to get any photos of it with the paint scheme. I mean, maybe when it lifts off, some of it will break away. But if you watch Falcon, not Falcon, if you watch Rocket Lab launches, some of the ice breaks away, but it's still white. It's still a white rocket for most of it. So
can we start a petition to get like a black and red rocket? So it's like Vader. I'm not a Star Trek fan. I'm a Star Wars fan.
Rocket Lab is black and red.
Yeah, but I mean, like, can we call it Vader?
Sure. You know what? You can call it Vader.
Okay.
We'll just start calling it Vader. No one can stop us. So, but yeah. So congrats to ULA for
the Star Trek. The Trekkies will stop me.
Yeah, the Trekkies. We can only have Vulcan. We can't have Vader.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, congrats to ULA. So that's awesome for them. Next up.
Yeah.
During a 6-hour-long spacewalk, Crew 6 astronauts Stephen Bowen and Woody Hoberg installed and deployed the 5th IROSA, or ISS Rollout Solar Array. After the spacewalk, Bowen became the 5th most experienced spacewalker of all astronauts, and the two will complete another spacewalk Thursday to install the final IROSA. These IROSAs will provide a 30% increase in power production over the station's existing 20-year-old solar arrays. Did you know that the ISS was getting new solar panels?
No, but it's interesting because it's on its way out. So,
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like they kind of planned this like years ago.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not like it still has 10 years or so. No, it still has like 7-8 years. What year is it? 2023. It still got 7 years.
Yeah,
and
well, they had to.
There's
they
more.
Have to do it. There's no way to not do it. This far.
Yeah, and those solar panels have been there for like 20 years, so they're great.
Right,
like it's technology was built probably in like the 80s at best, like 80s technology, and then set in the space for 20 years. So they're not like the greatest solar panels anymore. I mean, they're still massive. That's like the whole reason why you can
not
see.
Efficient,
Yeah, it's the whole reason why you can even see the ISS in the first place from space is because of the solar panels. It's kind of ingenious how they're doing these. Instead of like replacing the solar panels, they're just kind of putting these new ones on top. And it's really we need to get a photo of this because it's comically hysterical that these 6 solar panels are like just tiny compared to the original ones, and are producing more power. Like they're not even they may be like 50% the size at best of the original ones. And they just attach them under the truss and they roll out like it's kind of cool. Kind of like bundled up. It's kind of cool. They roll them out. So I think my favorite part about those was that Bowen kind of moved up to 5th place for spacewalk time. Not really often you see someone moving that up. I mean, a lot of the astronauts like they don't. There's less spacewalks, I think, than like when it was in the shuttle time. I think like every shuttle mission had a couple spacewalks, and of course you had the ISS construction that was like a massive amount of spacewalks to conduct those. So like we're only getting like maybe like US wise like 2 or 3 spacewalks. Maybe more than 2 or 3 spacewalks a year, but like I think this is like our second one this year or something like that. So like only a handful of spacewalks a year, and then astronauts are kind of retiring sooner than before. I think a lot of astronauts in the past like kind of retired and then like they retired. I thought it was kind of like their end of their career because like that was the peak, and now there's other ventures that can go on.
Right.
After being an astronaut. So actually, the person who Bowen actually beat out was Peggy Whitson, who we just saw fly on Axiom 2, who is one of like I don't know, she's flown like just as many as Bowen. Like they're some of the most experienced astronauts I think like out there, and I think Peggy is going to be flying a lot more with Axiom, so she's going to get a lot more time in space. But with another 6 hours, or I doubt this spacewalk tomorrow will be like 6 hours. It'll probably be like 5 hours, maybe less, because they did a lot of their work. They were like an hour ahead of schedule, so they did work for this for the spacewalk tomorrow. Today, if you're listening to it on Thursday, but tomorrow since we're recording it on Wednesday. But like on last week's spacewalk. So we'll see like how far up he moves again. Supercluster has a really awesome like database of all the astronauts, so you can like kind of like watch them update and move up as it happens.
It's kind of like going on like NBA.com or it's like the player rankings, right?
Yeah, you just see the rank. We need power rankings for astronauts. That's what we need.
We could do it. We could do next year's March Madness. We could do brackets.
Oh my god, who's the best? Who's the best astronaut? I think Peggy actually helped build the ISS. I think that's why she has so many Same thing with Steven. I think like they both helped build the ISS, so that's why they have so many EVA hours.
That's cool.
I think this is Steven. Woody. I think that was his first spacewalk, so that's like because I think this is his first space flight. So, congrats to him for being able to get that out ready.
Yep.
So,
let me ask you a few questions before we move on to this. From this,
okay.
So one, do you think they're competitive? You know, like is it like MJ versus LeBron, where they're competitive with their stats against each other?
I'm sure on the inside, you'll
I feel
never
like,
get them
right?
to announce. You'll never get one to admit it publicly.
Sure.
Unless they say like unless they write in a book, like
right
you know, after they retire. But like if it's any, I don't know how the I'm sure the atmosphere has changed drastically from like the Apollo era, but like they were very competitive.
Oh yeah,
very competitive.
Yeah,
you know, like there's there are parts of Cape Canaveral Space Force Station that are built for the astronauts because they wanted to go faster on their Corvettes because they wanted to race with each other. So like there are banked roads like on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. So
we need to go out there and do a little like documentary on them. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, it's really close to security gates. I don't know if they'll let us film that direction, but like, yeah, like it is super cool. It's like one of my favorite parts of ever driving on base there is like the first turn is like super banked. It's like, I want to go fast. I haven't done it in my new car, which like my car is a Civic. It's not a sports car, but like it feels like a sports car. So I'm like, I want to go fast. I'm like, I'm turning into a Civic head with my new car, but yeah,
and then,
I think they're competitive still.
I was gonna say I got one more question before we get off this topic. Do you think at some point we'll stop calling it spacewalk once it becomes like the norm, or are we just always gonna be like, hey, yeah, I'm going out for a spacewalk?
Probably not. I mean, they're already pretty normal. Like they're already at the point where like we don't. I mean, I don't even cover 90% of them because it's just they just go out.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand what they're doing.
I mean, I'm just saying like because you know obviously, you know we'll compare this like we'll say 6 hours. We'll say that's like a marathon, right? When you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go out for a jog. It's not usually like I'm gonna go out for a marathon, right? I'm gonna go out for a jog. Unless you're in the race, right? And now this is sort of like, it's surpassed like a certain amount of time length. So then it requires like, let's actually call that a spacewalk. But if you're out there for like, you know, half an hour, is that really called? We're really gonna, call those spacewalks?
I think I don't know. It'd be interesting because like it takes a lot of manpower still at the moment to like pull one off. Like there's a lot of people on the ground that help the astronauts like conduct it, and there's a lot of like assets that are done like a lot of help from the astronauts that are inside the space station that help them like complete them. It's like until like I guess until at that point, I guess I'm thinking of like, have you read the book Artemis by Andy Weir?
I have not.
Okay, so Artemis, if you don't, I don't know if I don't think we did a book review on it because it came out like before Space Explored even like came online. But Artemis, if you don't know, Andy Weir is the writer of The Martian, which became a great movie and with Matt Damon, and it was great. His follow-up book was Artemis. It's not a follow-up of the storyline, but like his next book is called Artemis, and it's about the moon, and there's a whole bunch of like it's like years and years and years in the future, and their spacewalks are like pretty much routine. Like there's no mission control, there's no like people who are like coordinating them or anything like that. There's just you can just put on a spacesuit,
put the suit on, and get outside,
and just walk around. Yeah, you don't need like all the support systems that we do have today. That would be like the only way I could think, be like, oh, we're not spacewalking. Yeah, there's training to do it, like to do something special, but like it's kind of like driving a car. Like you just got to get training, get a license, then to go do it. Which probably won't ever happen in like low Earth orbit, just because I don't see anyone ever doing recreational spacewalks in low Earth orbit.
Hey,
like,
man.
Why would you want to just like you just sit there? Just be like,
that's the next level of pickleball, man. The next version of pickleball or cornhole is going to be in space.
Okay, first of all, on this podcast, we call it bags, not cornhole. I'm going to insist that as a Wisconsinite that it's called bags.
ESPN says different, man.
No, we don't care about ESPN. Man, and pickleball, pickleball in space. Just like boom, boom, boom.
We'll just leave
I play volleyball. I don't do pickleball, but no, that I mean, and if we ever get to like a commercial like moon. I guess that makes sense. Like eventually, like
for
we just
sure.
don't call them spacewalks. We just call them excursions or something like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
actually, in Artemis, they have like the non-EVA certified people, like so the people who like don't get the license and go through the whole like guild process. That it's a whole thing. There's a guild. It's a whole thing in that book. They just have like they're like in those big blow up balls. You
Okay.
you can get those like
Yeah.
you can buy those like for like parties and play like soccer
Yep.
with them or something like that. Like it's just that. Just run around in that. So
Nice.
we'll just have those. I'm just waiting for those to come out. But yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No, man. I just had to, spur of the moment questions. Just thought I'd ask while I had the
I'll
chance.
go on rants. Well, feel free. So, all right.
What's up
next
next?
up. In a poor double header of bad PR for Boeing, the company was sued over potential theft of trade secrets. The small Colorado company, Wilson Aerospace, claims that Boeing tricked the company into handing over confidential information of the specialty tools it produced with the false hope of lucrative contracts. Instead, Wilson accuses Boeing of stealing those tool designs and producing their own, and then attempting to wipe any involvement of Wilson in the process.
Oh boy.
So, we're going to talk about this as our main topic as well, because it's kind of a big deal for Boeing 2 weeks in a row for them to get the main topic for Space Explorer podcast. But so we'll be right back after this break.
Cool.
All right, so this whole Boeing thing is we're going to talk shortly on it because it's another lawsuit. I just hate talking about lawsuits. It's like the second one this month, I feel like, that we've talked about. And I really don't want to also just be the person who talks about lawsuits and
or negative topics in general.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been a lot. So we're going to quickly go over kind of what is kind of going all over with Boeing lawsuit. So Wilson Aerospace, pretty much what happened was these are all accusations, of course. So all we have is the suit that was filed by Wilson with the court. I don't know which. I think it was in Seattle. I don't know where it was. And it's their claims. Boeing will have the ability when court comes to have their claims of how things went down, and then they'll have to. Wilson will then have to come and prove these claims in court.
Yeah, normal court stuff.
Normal court process. Yeah. I mean, I remember I did jury duty, I don't know, 2 months ago. So, I learned so much. I got selected for jury as well, the whole thing. It was fun. But sadly, no court verdict. It got handled outside of court. So, darn. If you get selected, you might as well, go through the process. But no, didn't happen for me. So the claims that Wilson Aerospace has is that back in around I think it was 2014 to 2016, I think are the dates. Boeing needed help fastening fittings on around the RS-25 engines on the Space Launch System, and Wilson, being kind of a specialty tool manufacturer, has this tool called the I should probably open up the article and get the proper name of this tool because it's banger, my dude.
Now I'm gonna open it up.
It's a banger. You won't guess what I bet you won't guess what it does. But once I tell you the name, you ready for it?
Go for it.
It's called the Fluid Fitting Torque Device.
So what does it do?
It torques down fittings for fluid stuff.
Wait, is this when the red team got deployed? Was this in their toolkit?
I have no idea. So I don't,
because they had to. Didn't they had to do something?
They had to tighten down some sort of torque nuts. Yeah, torque nuts. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I will never get Michael Sheets' tweet out of my head. That moment that tweet went up by NASA.
So I wonder
torque
if this
down
was the
some
tool.
nuts. Torque the what? But I don't know. This was used. So there's a lot of claims with leaks going on with SLS, and I don't know. I didn't read through the entire document because it's 80 pages of just honest. I mean, if you ever read court documents, they're just the most riveting storytelling. It's man, lawyers know how to tell a story. Lawyers should write books for a living.
Right.
I'm joking. They're not at all. It's like I couldn't read more than a page before I'm like my eyes starting to get heavy from this kind of stuff. So I didn't read through the whole document of like everything, but like some of the main accusations is that back in the 2014-2016 time, Boeing couldn't like firmly attach the RS-25 engines to the core stage of the SLS, and so they had to use this FFTD, I'm just gonna call it because it's just easier to like tighten down these torque things. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what you would use. I don't know what you're torquing with these fluid fittings. So without this device, they wouldn't be able to properly do it. So they signed some non-disclosure agreements of proprietary information. Just I don't know what it is, PIS or whatever they're called. Pretty much like we will share this proprietary information with you. You're not allowed to discuss it or use it in any way. But we'll give you the proprietary information. And then Wilson accuses of Boeing of taking that proprietary information and making their own versions of the torque device, and apparently it was inferior to theirs because of course it was, and like it produced leaks and had issues, and they claim lives were at risk and a lot of things that are very flashy in headlines.
Yep.
They would probably really wanted us to use, but we did not.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. And now, they filed this suit and they want damages because Boeing has gotten all this money off of the SLS contract, and apparently it was also used in the ISS as well. And they kind of want some damages from that. Also, they've like badmouthed them in the industry, apparently they claim, and there's a whole bunch of like kind of claims that Wilson has. But long story short, Boeing, they claim. I'll give you the Boeing quote. Boeing said that the Wilson arguments are rife with inaccuracies and omissions. That is what Boeing says, and that they're going to fight this. But outside of quotes and accusations or whatever, Boeing, my dude, another week.
Yeah, that
sucks,
man.
You good? That sucks. I would.
I'm sure they'd much rather just settle this out, right, and not even have to go to court and litigation.
I'm sure. Well, I guess it depends on like what the settlement is. Yeah, I'm sure Boeing can afford to pay him a couple $1 million. And
just shut him up, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sure Wilson though really wants to fight this because it kind of goes a lot of the accusations in the document. They kind of like they keep accusing Boeing of this is like a common practice for Boeing. Boeing has had this happen in the past with Boeing. They've had other lawsuits, and so like they don't want to settle out of court. They want to fight this. It says like somewhere in the document that like jury trial like we like demanded or something like that. I don't know if that's common to have that wording on there. I don't think I saw it in a little lawsuit filing I read, but I could be wrong on that. So it looks like Wilson really wants to like have this go to trial, which is
bummer.
Bold. That's bold.
Yeah.
Which we'll never. I don't know. Like, we'll probably never really fully understand the process. I mean, there'll be the lawsuit, and we'll probably cover as best we can. But this will probably take like over a year at best.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think it is going to have any delays on any SLS development?
Probably
forward?
Not. No, probably not. I mean, like the worst thing that would happen was that like Boeing would have to buy, would have to pay for like torque devices from
right,
Wilson
or
itself.
make their own version of
if
it.
If they even. Yeah, if the accusations are true, but it sounds like it doesn't sound like there's really any damaging thing for like NASA side of things. Yeah. It's just kind of mostly Boeing. Like they have to go through a whole nother process, but I don't know. Boeing does have a lot of lawyers, so I think they'll be fine. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be okay.
Well.
I'm sure they're going to be okay.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I don't know, anything else? I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, it's just bad PR for Boeing. Starliner looks like it's probably, it's going to be Q4 of this year at best.
Yep.
But there's really no timeline going on. There are some concerns of NASA having concerns with delays of Artemis 3 because of Starship. Just the amount of flights that they have to do. Jim Free talked about this at a conference, I think like Monday or something like that. So like, I'm kind of with them. Like I think SpaceX is not in an amazing spot for like Starship development. Like they have like the FAA, like the FAA and SpaceX are looking into first flight still. Like we've heard, there's been no updates on that.
Yeah, they got a long road.
There's
ahead.
the lawsuit. There's the environmental lawsuit that has to be dealt with.
Yeah,
which I haven't heard any. There's been no updates. I haven't heard any updates on that. But that's probably going to take a while as well. And then like I think Elon mentioned, I think he tweeted like this morning or something like that, like 6 to 8 weeks on the next launch for Starship, which still like probably like 10 to 12.
Right.
At best. I don't know. It would be incredible to see him launch again this year. I think that's pretty much it. I think
that would be insane if
like
they could
Starship.
get another one up this year. Yeah, to me that would be insane if they got another one up this year.
Yeah. I think they would get. I think they will. I think it would be like a insane amount of like progress that would have to be made for that to happen.
Yeah,
I think they will do it because it's SpaceX. Like they can do amazing things in short
True.
amount of times.
I
think that's pretty much it. Unless if it goes perfectly well, maybe a third. But like I doubt it will go perfectly well. And then I mean, once after the end of this year, you have 2 years to get a vehicle ready that can launch to the moon, be refueled in orbit, do a demonstration landing on the moon, and then do that again. So it's for a rocket that just launched in April of this year. That's like very, very bold of SpaceX to be able to compete. There was a lot of people down there in Starbase trying to make it happen. There's a lot of money flowing down the Starbase to try and make it happen. So it's more of an engineering possibility. Like, is there like there's only so much engineering can do to make it like it just takes time. Some things are just going to take time. To figure it out, and whether or not that's kind of pretty much all up to SpaceX's will to do the crazy, which they have a pretty good will of doing crazy things. So it's kind of like it's kind of up there in the air. But yeah. Anyways, I guess that's our bit on Starship this week. We haven't talked about Starship in a while. So
it's our Starship. It was like you felt like guilty for neglecting it for so many weeks. Right?
I felt guilty. I'm sorry, SpaceX. We haven't praised you enough in the podcast. But also, Starship, rough deal. Anything Elon says timeline-wise about Starship, I would just like not even listen to it. Pretty much. That's gonna be. I would pretty much just watch the 24-hour live streams, watch the updates coming from La Padre and the stuff, and judge for yourself on when it's gonna happen. That's pretty much the best bet. But yeah, that's it for this week on episodes. Boeing, sucks for you. SpaceX, good luck, and congrats ULA. Yeah,
under 30, man. Look at that, under 30. Good job.
Under 30 minutes. Let's go. Well, we still got to do the outro. But thank everyone so much for listening this week. I'm Seth Krakowski. You can find me. I'm actually taking a break from social media, so a lot of my accounts, I think I privated a lot of my accounts. So I'm going to say find me on the Discord. That's pretty much the only place. And spaceexplored.com. That's where I'll be. But Jared, where can I find you?
Yeah, you can find me. I did not take a break. But I only hang out in one spot, so you can find me on Instagram at Hyperlight, HYPRLYTE. My name shows up on Twitter, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
You haven't tweeted since like Sun Fun. So.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I checked today.
And, there you go.
Because I was looking for
I just heard that
I'll just check his Twitter.
I'm like,
it's all
from one of their offices, so I don't know how I feel about them these days.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I said I'm taking a break from social media, but like I still do Twitter stuff for Space Explored, and I still
so you have to look at it.
Instagram, like I'm still on social media. It's just like I'm trying to do it for personal use at the moment. Just for fun, just see if I can do it. I'm failing horribly because I'm still logged in on Instagram and TikTok on my devices, but like, so I still catch myself.
I know I keep sending you stuff, and I'm sorry.
No, I still use Instagram to still talk to like a handful of people. So like I can't.
There we go. Okay.
I deleted. I actually unlogged off, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that because like you need to get a hold of me. But I did delete TikTok, and I'm like, oh, well, if I post up on the Space Explored TikTok, like I gotta log back in, and it just has Space Explored stuff logged in on my device. I'm like, maybe I'll log back into my personal stuff. It'll be fine. But I'm trying to read more books. I'm actually reading the third Andrew book.
Nice.
Project Hail Mary. It's aliens. That's probably too much of a spoiler already. but it's good. It's so good. So, all right, make sure you go to the Discord in the description. Follow us on social media, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Peace.